Boston. The bodies of twin brothers found in Towns County near the North Carolina line, 90 miles from their home in Lawrenceville. The GBI initially investigating this as a murder-suicide, but tonight the family says they're not buying it. 11 Alive's Cody Alcorn spoke with them just a few hours ago. He's live for us in our newsroom with more on this investigation and what the family has to say, Cody.
Well, Jennifer, the brothers Qaadir and Naazir Lewis were twins. The GBI says a hiker found their bodies at the top of Bell Mountain on Saturday morning. Both had been shot. The family couldn't believe it when they got the call hours later, knowing the twin brothers were supposed to be in Boston visiting friends.
We want answers. We want to know exactly what happened to the twins.
Naazir and Qaadir Lewis.
Those are my nephews.
Just a few weeks shy of their 20th birthday.
I can get past it, they're gone.
The twins' uncle, Raheem Bronner.
They're very protective of each other. They love each other. They're like inseparable. So I couldn't imagine them hurting each other because I never even seen them get into a fist fight before.
The GBI saying their preliminary investigation points to the twins' death being a murder-suicide.
We knew right away that wasn't true.
Family says the twins had a 7 a.m. flight to Boston last Friday.
Right there, we never heard from them. They missed their flight. We don't know what happened.
24 hours later, the twins' body found 90 miles away.
How they end out in the mountains, they don't hike out there. They've never even been out there. They don't know nothing about Hiwassee, Georgia. They never even heard of Bell Mountains. So how did they end up right there?
A mystery this family is trying to solve.
They had a huge support system. Like, we know them that they wouldn't do anything like this. So to say that they did this to each other when they come from a family of love, and they love each other, they always together, we don't believe that. They didn't do this to each other. Something happened in those mountains, and we want answers.
I did reach out to the GBI tonight. A spokesperson says the twins' autopsies is finished, but they're awaiting additional forensic testing to be finished, as well as the investigation portion of this, before they issue a final ruling on the brothers' causes of death.
That's a good question. You know, everybody's been asking that question regarding how did they get there? Was it Uber, Lyft, or anything? So we found out more information. And I'm going to start calling this the Bell Mountain Horrors. And for those that don't know, these are the Lewis twins right here. They were 90 miles from home. They were from Lawrenceville, Georgia. And I've seen other posts on here saying that they were headed to Florida, and some were saying they were headed to Texas. No, they were headed to Boston. They had plane tickets to go to Boston. The names are Qaadir and Naazir Lewis. They're both 19 years old, and that's right there is very significant, okay? They were 19 years old. They were found deceased Saturday morning by a hiker on the summit of Bell Mountain. That's near the North Carolina border. The family said that the brothers were supposed to be going to Boston. They had booked a flight to Boston for 7 a.m. That was last Friday, but they never made their flight. And then 24 hours later, they were found deceased in the area the family said that they had never visited before. And the GBI at first said that, you know, they did this to themselves, said it was a unaliving of themselves. They both did themselves, right? So that right there, we already knew that that was BS, because there are other stories down there of people that look like us that end up being deceased in that same area. So some of the things that I found out was their plane tickets were found in their wallets on the mountain. So some of the newer things that we're finding out is they didn't take an Uber or Lyft. Their car was found at Bell Mountain. And then there was a little bit of confusion on when they were last actually seen. So the stepmom originally said Saturday at 3 a.m. The investigator said 3 a.m., right? But then the investigator changed it to 11 p.m. because that investigator stated that he converted the time wrong. So there was some miscommunication right there. Right? Then it was asked, did they have their luggage with them? No, they didn't have their luggage. And as far as their phones were in the car. Now, it's not been confirmed yet whether they checked into their flight or not. Now, I have seen other people saying that they found the weapon next to them and all that stuff, right? But here's my problem with that. The GBI has not released that information. So where are you getting your information? Another thing I want to address is I've seen a lot of people talking about, you know, about the firearm, right? Well, in Georgia, they were only 19. That's why I said it's so significant. In Georgia, you have to be 21 in order to purchase a firearm. These were good, upstanding young men. These were upstanding young men. Don't put anything on them, you know, just because we look like this. And I'm addressing a lot of the comments made by people that looks like this, that are automatically saying thugs and all this stuff. These were outstanding young men. So I'm pretty sure they're testing for GSR, you know, on their hands and all that stuff, you know, because somebody could have did it to them, or they could have forced them to do it, you know what I'm saying, by holding their hand. All kinds of things are possible. But I do not believe that they did this to themselves. The milk stinks and the water stinks.
So they want us to believe that a twin brother would unalive his twin brother and then unalive himself on top of a mountain? Nah. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me explain. So the brothers, Qaadir and Naazir Lewis, bodies were found on top of Bell Mountain on Saturday morning. These two brothers were supposed to be going to Boston to see friends. The last time their family seen them, they were on their way to the airport. And this was 7 a.m. Friday morning. They missed their flight and mysteriously were found on top of a mountain. So allegedly, what they're saying that happened is that the situation was a murder-suicide. Basically stating that one twin pew-pewed the other twin and then pew-pewed himself. That definitely don't sound right. Matter of fact, look at this shit.
How they
Listen
end
to
up
this
in
lady.
the mountains, they don't hike out there. They never even been out there.
This is crazy, man.
They don't know nothing about Hiwassee, Georgia. They never even heard of Bell Mountains. So how did they end up right there?
A mystery this family is trying to solve.
And y'all telling me that makes sense? How did those boys wind up on a mountain? You telling me family members that grew up together, their whole life, never showed no sign of aggression in that house, did that to each other? And they're just randomly on top of a mountain. That don't sound right. That don't sound right at all. And now the police is just trying to sweep it under the rug like, all right, we found out what happened. It's over. No, it's not over. They need answers. I'm out.
This is Qaadir Lewis and Naazir Lewis, 19-year-old twin brothers from Lawrenceville, Georgia. They were found unalived on Bell Mountain, Hiwassee, Georgia on March the 8th of 2025 in Towns County, Georgia. The discovery was made by a hiker at approximately 11:05 a.m. and both brothers had pew-pew wounds. Now, once again, black men have been found in the Georgia mountains unalived. And once again, the Georgia Bureau of Investigations is treating this as a potential MRSU. But the family strongly disputes this theory, citing that these twins had a very close relationship and there were no known conflicts between them. It makes no sense. And again, they are saying that this is a MRSU. It makes no sense. These twins had missed a flight to Boston on March the 7th, which they had booked together to go and see friends. When they were found, their plane tickets were with them in their wallets. Who commits MRSU 80 miles away from home on a mountain when they had a trip planned? How did they even get to this mountain in Hiwassee? That's 80 miles away from Lawrenceville. There are so many simple, basic questions that have gone unanswered. This incident reminds me of the Trevante Sherbert Hilton case that I covered last year, where the GBI said immediately that this was also this unaliving was a sue. But evidence pointed in a totally different direction, as does the evidence so far in this case.
It ain't no way in hell that these two twins, Naazir and Qaadir Lewis, missed their flight to Boston, but was found 90 miles from their daggone home in the mountains. Bell Mountains, to be exact. Like, you fucking lying. Ain't no daggone way y'all gonna sit here on this daggone internet and try to act like them daggone boys. This is a suicide murder. This is what the news and stuff and police are basically trying to say. Now, I ain't no detective or nothing, but from reading their story and basically listening to their family members, how they spoke so good of them, this is not no daggone murder-suicide. Someone obviously took these two boys and unalived them. So why is the police and news people basically trying to say that it's a murder-suicide, knowing damn well these boys did not unalive themselves? Now, the family is waiting on the toxicology report to come back, and I'm also waiting to see what they're going to say when it comes to these two boys, because I know without a doubt that these boys did not unalive themselves. These two twin boys, like, please. All I know is, if anybody have any information when it comes to this story, if y'all seen anything, please speak up, because this family need their closure. Like, they need their closure. Period, point blank. So if you seen or know anything when it comes to these two twin boys, please call the nearest police department and let them know. Just know I am praying for the Lewis family. Y'all should not even be going through this. 19 years old. They were 19 years old, y'all. Like, I'll be back with part 2 when I get a lot more information on these two twin boys' stories. Naazir, and Qaadir, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, boys, that we live in this fucked up world.
Twin brothers Qaadir Lewis and Naazir Lewis were found dead on top of Bell Mountain March 7th. A hiker on Bell Mountain found them, and now the authorities are calling it a murder-suicide. I'm sorry. The brothers, both 19, were discovered on March 8th. Sorry about that. And both men were shot with gunshot wounds. The preliminary investigation suggests the deaths to have been a murder-suicide, and Georgia's Bureau of Investigation's medical examiner has completed autopsies on the twins, but the official ruling and result are pending additional forensic tests. According to a post on GoFundMe by the twins' aunt, the young men would never taken their own lives. The family is demanding further investigation. Family members told the news that the Lawrenceville twins were scheduled to fly to Boston on March 7th to visit friends, but never made their flight out of Atlanta. Their airline tickets were still in their wallets, and their bodies were discovered the next day on the mountain by a hiker. Loved ones say the teens have never visited the area where they were found, 2.5 hours away from Atlanta, and they insist there's no way this was a murder-suicide. So the Georgia Bureau of Investigation is assisting the sheriff's office with the investigation. But how is this a murder-suicide if they had no guns and they were going to the airport? This makes no sense.
Well, we are learning some new information in the investigation of the deaths of twin brothers on Bell Mountain.
That's right. So the GBI has confirmed the arrest of a Towns County volunteer firefighter for misdemeanor obstruction. So this comes after 11 Alive started asking a lot of questions about reports that photographs of the twins' bodies were shared after the hikers found them. So far, no other details about the arrest have been released.
There is a very shocking and disturbing update for the twin boys that were found shot to death, Nadir and Qaadir Lewis, at the top of a mountain in Georgia. Now, in the last video, I explained to you after doing digging and finding the census information from all the way back to 1956 that Towns County, yes, this is where the Bell Mountain was where they were found, was in fact a sundown town. Now, before I keep going, people are stealing my content. They are just re-perpetuating what I say, and this creator also has a lot more followers than me, so let's get the right people out there. Contrary to belief, making a video restating what I said about this being a sundown town and you not telling where this information is coming from is only hurting what we are trying to do with getting justice for Nadir and Qaadir. So please, you guys, boost, share. Let's get the right information out. Now, originally in the preliminary investigation, they tried to rule this as a murder-suicide. But the preliminary investigation didn't make any sense because where did these boys get a handgun from when going to the airport? Mind you, they were found unalive with their flight tickets in their pocket after they missed their flight at 7 the prior day. Why would their flight tickets be in their pockets, and how did they get over 90 miles away, and where did they get a handgun? Not only that, but you guys, there has just been someone charged with obstruction of justice in this case. Towns County, where I told you in the last video, they are known for violence against African Americans after dark. This has been going on for decades. Now, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation has confirmed the arrest of a Towns County volunteer firefighter for misdemeanor charges of obstruction in connection to the case of the twin brothers, Qaadir and Nadir. He was allegedly arrested, God, this is so horrible, for sharing photographs that he took of the brothers' body right after they were discovered. And he was sharing these photos. Why would he do that? Oh, because this is a racist-ass sundown town and he took trophy pictures. These beautiful 19-year-old boys had no access to any type of handgun. Suicide is the #1 way to get away with murder. If you watch any true crime where there was actually a third individual a part of that murder, you know murder-suicide is a scapegoat. The thing about sundown towns is the police are in on it. As you can see, the firefighters are in on it. Everyone is in on it when it comes to the racism. The way that sundown counties work is by sticking together to keep black people out. Make it make sense. No 19-year-old is going to go to a fucking airport with a handgun, let alone commit a murder-suicide with a ticket still in their pockets. I really think that someone led them away from that airport, like a police officer or someone they trusted. And again, this is crazy, but there is a lawyer that I am talking to that is going to try to help the family get enough money for a private autopsy. This is why it's important to boost, share, and like this video, because unlike the people stealing my content, the man who stole my content, I'm really doing something about it, and this isn't just clickbait. There is an update on Naazir and Qaadir's case, y'all, where they arrested a daggone volunteer firefighter from Towns County with obstruction of justice, a misdemeanor obstruction of justice. It's going to be a lot more people that's going to be arrested. Because at the end of the day, what I found out when it comes to Towns County, I'm not surprised at all that this is a sundown town. If you have not watched my first video, please go watch it, because this is now part 2. Now, to this daggone volunteer firefighter that got the obstruction of justice charge, now you either was tampering with witnesses, or you was either tampering with motherfucking evidence. So, bitch, what the fuck is you trying to hide? Because hoe, is you cool? And at this motherfucking point, this hoe need to be motherfucking questioned. Because what in the entire fuck? Now, when I started to do some digging, I was not surprised at all that Towns County was a daggone sundown town. Which is why in my first video, and I'm going to keep on saying what I said that these boys did not go up there on that daggone mountain, and one of the twins did not unalive his other twin, and then daggone unalive himself. Y'all got to be boo-boo the motherfucking fools to believe that shit. And the daggone police out there is very much in cahoots with the motherfucking town. And y'all ain't gonna sit here and tell me otherwise. Now, upon doing all my digging, I found some very interesting daggone information when it comes to daggone Towns County, y'all. Hiwassee, to be exact. Exactly where everything happened when it came to Qaadir and Naazir Lewis. Now, in the year of 1900 through 1910, there was a huge drop in African Americans when it came to Towns County. They also had 0 African Americans within their border from the year of 1920 to 1940. So what the fuck do that tell you when it comes to Naazir and Qaadir's freaking case? You think this shit ain't still going on? Once again, if y'all don't think that, y'all damn sure gotta be Boo Boo the Fool. Or y'all gotta be Bobby Brown where y'all, or Whitney Houston, where y'all must be on that damn white girl and it's caught in your motherfucking mind. Evidence also shows y'all that Hiwassee had a reputation against black people, where by nightfall, oh yeah, they was doing what they did when it came to black people and getting rid of us. I'm talking about unaliving us. Now, as Naazir and Qaadir Lewis left at 7 a.m. to go to Boston to visit friends, they missed their flight. But then they was found 24 hours later up in Bell Mountains, shot to death. And y'all trying to say that one of the brothers shot the other brother and then turned the gun on himself? But y'all found their phones in their car, and you also found the plane tickets in their wallets. So where the motherfucking gun at that they supposedly used? Why y'all ain't find that? Because they never had a gun. Somebody else made them go up on that damn mountain. And y'all know exactly what the fuck happened. But y'all trying to cover it up. But you can't cover shit up that's going to be brought to the lights. Stay tuned for part 3, because these motherfuckers got me fucked up all the way.
Georgia authorities have made an arrest following the tragic death of twin brothers Qaadir Lewis and Naazir Lewis, whose bodies hikers discovered at the summit of Bell Mountain in Hiwassee, Georgia, earlier this month. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation, which confirmed last week that it was helping the Towns County Sheriff's Office to investigate, in a statement Tuesday, it had arrested a 42-year-old man in connection with the deaths. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation had arrested and charged Scott Curling, age 42, of Hiwassee, with misdemeanor obstruction. Curling is a volunteer firefighter in Towns County who took photos of the Lewis twins' death scene and shared them publicly. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation did not immediately respond to HuffPost's request for more information. According to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation's initial statement, at approximately 11:05 a.m. on March 8th, the Towns County 911 Center received notification that 2 people were found dead on top of Bell Mountain, identified them as Qaadir and Naazir Lewis. The brothers had booked a 7 a.m. flight to Boston on March 7th, but missed it. They had never previously been to the location where their bodies were discovered. We want answers. We want to know exactly what happened to the twins. Their aunt said, how did they end up out in the mountains? Their uncle Rahim, they did not hike out there. They've never been out there. They don't know anything about Hawaski, Georgia. They never even heard of Bell Mountain. So how did they end up right there? The Georgia Bureau's preliminary investigation, treated the teen's death as a murder-suicide, but the family expressed skepticism. We know right away that wasn't true, their uncle said, who described the brothers as very protective of each other. They're like inseparable. I can't imagine them hurting each other because I've never seen them get into a fist fight. Well, they tried to cover something up because this is an apparent sundown town. So they're trying to cover this up because they don't want to do no investigations because they're black. So I'm glad that this is getting a lot of attention, and people are keeping their foots on these people's necks, and that's why they had to make an arrest. And I hope this man will get charged with something for sharing their death photos publicly. This is disgusting. This man is very disgusting. And my opinion, I think he's the murderer. My opinion. Like, I'm not saying like anybody can stumble upon bodies, but why would he take a picture of them dead? Well, hell, what do I know? I'm just a talking head. Have a great day, YouTube.